सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। शांति शांति शांति।
The 13th chapter of the Gita is one of the subtlest chapters of the Gita. It speaks about the distinction between matter and spirit, the distinction between the world and that which is transcendental, that which transcends the world, between that which can be seen, heard, felt, conceived, and that which is beyond the scope of any of our equipments. Yet it is there. Now you might wonder, in today's age when there is pressure to perform, pressure to outclass competition, pressure to gain admission, pressure to just get by in life, why this matter and spirit unnecessarily? One more problem. And yet, it is in this basic distinction that lies our success, our happiness, and our ability to tap our full potential. So, because we don't understand this distinction clearly, we believe that fulfillment lies in gaining matter. What a tragic conclusion we draw. We, the spirit, how can we ever gain fulfillment by courting matter? Matter doesn't have the stuff to fulfill us. And yet, all of us are running after status, power, money, family, all kinds of things. It doesn't make life fulfilling. And in order to gain all this, what is that? A better car, a better home, better furniture, better facilities, more money, etc. We work ourselves silly. There are people who work 12 hours a day, 14 hours a day, and still don't find fulfillment. And that's what this chapter is addressing. Once you understand the distinction, what we're talking about here is something like this. You've seen children play with masks? Yeah? There are masks that are deliberately made horrendous. There are masks, children, human beings, wear masks of animals. So, when children wear masks, in spite of the mask being horrendous, in spite of the mask having distortions and aberrations, the children still enjoy themselves. They amuse. In fact, the more grotesque the mask, the greater is their amusement. What is the secret of their enjoyment? Can you tell me? Sorry?
They know they are not the mask.
Exactly. They know that the mask is only a put on, that they are not the mask. The mask is different from them. And it is this knowledge that enables them to gain tremendous amusement by wearing the mask, and when the game is over, they delightfully take off the mask. Similarly, you and I are wearing a mask. That mask is implanted right from birth. And what is this mask? Body, mind, intellect. You know it all. Maybe tomorrow we will exchange places. Personality. Each one of us has a distinct personality. The word personality comes from the Latin root persona, which means mask. So what you think you are is your personality is only a mask. But who is the person behind that persona is the question. And unless you know who the person behind the persona is, what happens? You believe that the mask is you. You believe that the distortions are yours. No child ever looks at itself in the mirror with the mask and goes crying to the mother and say, "Mommy, I'm looking so ugly, look at my hair, look at my face." No child ever does that. But you and me, when we look at ourselves, when we see the mask, we get affected by the distortions of the mask. When the body is ugly, you feel dejected. When the body is beautiful, you feel thrilled. Same thing with the mind and the intellect. And so therefore, first of all, you are limited by the mask. You, the spirit, the infinite, believe yourself to be finite, and therefore you are limited. A simple thing like coming here this evening from wherever you are. Suppose you were at Nariman Point. From Nariman Point to come here, you have to wade through traffic and come, right? Suppose an eagle had been in our place, what would it do? No traffic jams for the eagle. Simply takes off and a few flaps of its wings and it's here. So that you're limited by the limitations of the body. Then there are limitations of the mind, of feelings, impulses, emotions. They crush us, limit us. And then the limitations of the intellect, our prejudices, our biases, our preconceived notions. Again we get crushed by them. And as a result of this, you get victimized by the world. Your mind is full of likes and dislikes, raga and dvesha. And the world is full of pairs of opposites, dvandvas. And in this, both are changing. Your likes and dislikes are changing. The dvandvas, the pairs of opposites in the world, the pattern of the world is changing. In this picture of constant change, both ways, you gain happiness only when your likes and dislikes match with the world's pairs of opposites. That's the only time you're happy. But when it doesn't match, you're unhappy. So therefore you get victimized by the world over which you have no control whatsoever. Understood that there were distortions in their personality. And they visualized a state of perfection. And they made an attempt to get there. And when they made an attempt to get there, they understood that the distortions were really not theirs. The distortions were in the mask. So all they had to do was unmask themselves. And any master, any person who reached the state of realization, when they unmasked themselves, when they came to know their real personality, it was a wonderful state of being. You know, there was a couple in a village, an elderly couple. They had never seen a mirror before in their lives. So one day, and they carried on life beautifully without the mirror. The only problem was they didn't know what they looked like. Each one didn't know what he or she looked like. So the gentleman, the husband, went out shopping one day. You know, in the villages they have weekly bazaars in different places. So he went shopping, and suddenly one person there said, "Have you taken a look at this? This is your little pocket mirror." And this man was thrilled beyond words. Wow, I can see myself. First of all, he looked at himself and said, "What's this?" The guy said, "This is your face." So then he understood, and when he took it home with him, every now and then he put it in his pocket. Every now and then he'd take it out, look at the mirror, admire himself in the mirror, and quickly put it back. And his wife kept asking him, so what is it that you're taking out of your pocket every now and then and admiring, looking at yourself? He said, no, nothing, and put it back. For some strange reason, he didn't want to share this with his wife. Inquisitive that all women are. She wanted to get to the bottom of it. Because, they feel insecure that the husband knows something that they don't know. So one fine day when he was fast asleep, she went searching and took this object out from his pocket. And she looked at it and said, this rascal, I knew there was another woman in his life. This is it. We never get a chance to look at ourselves. And even when you get a chance to look at yourself, you think it's somebody else. So, the ancient rishis, when they understood this, on realization, with the mask, they were endearing, captivating, like Krishna. Even with the body, mind and intellect, this brilliance of Atman shone forth so much that even as a child he was extremely endearing. He used to be mischievous. Krishna means mischief. The moment you think of Krishna, you think of mischief. So one day, he was famous for stealing butter. So, and all the gopis used to go and complain to Yashoda about him, and Yashoda was so overcome with love for Krishna that she couldn't believe that Krishna could do such naughty things. So one day, one of the gopis caught him red-handed in her house stealing butter. So she said, now I've got you. So she put him in the room, locked him up, and went to call Yashoda. For what? To show her that your son, and he had butter all over his hand and mouth and everything, little Krishna. So she went, and before seeing Yashoda, what does she see there? Krishna himself, sitting there, absolutely clean, no butter on his face, nothing, sitting there and smiling at her so enchantingly that she forgot all her anger. This is it. With the mask, a person of realization is endearing, captivating. Without the mask, he is awesome, worshipful. As in the 11th chapter of the Gita, when Arjuna asks him to show him his universal form, cosmic form, he shows it, and that was so much for Arjuna that he said, no, he was fearful. He says, Krishna, please go back to your gentle form. When he was a child, he used to eat mud. So Yashoda got so upset with him, caught him. His mouth was full of mud, and Yashoda said, have you eaten mud? He said, no. He couldn't even speak, the mouth was full of mud. She said, yes, you're lying, open your mouth. He opened his mouth, and Yashoda saw the whole universe. So, without the mask, a person of realization is awesome, worshipful. Now, what we have to do is distinguish. You and I are an inexplicable, impossible combination of spirit and matter, of all that is good and wise and perfect, and all that is foolish. Now, how can wisdom and foolishness coexist together? Yet they do. How do you know that? Take a look at yourself. So the problem is not that their combination of matter and spirit is there. The problem is that you believe you are the matter and you have lost sight of spirit. So in this chapter, Krishna is trying to make us understand. All that you have to do is understand that there are imperfections within you. that there are distortions within you. The next step is to understand that the distortions are not your real self. They are in the mask. And so therefore you have to conceive a state of perfection free from the distortions and aberrations of matter. And then there must be a striving for excellence. This is our heritage. Even management experts say that every organization has to fall back on its own heritage. Similarly, every society, every nation, every civilization must draw on its own heritage. And our heritage is this wonderful, rational, systematic presentation of the distinction, the difference between matter and spirit. What aspect of us is matter? And where does spirit lie? Once you understand this distinction, automatically you become spirit. And then, whether you are operating with the body, mind and intellect means whether you are wearing the mask or you are shining forth as is, you'll still be perfect. You'll still be okay. You'll still be unaffected by the world and all its turbulence and trauma. So, what you have to do is analyze, not agonize. When you identify with matter, all you do is agonize. When you understand the difference between matter and spirit, that analysis gets you to a state of infinite happiness. So therefore, what is required is focus. Fix a goal. Even if you can't conceive of perfection, even if you can't relate with the state of realization, fix a goal that is beyond yourself and your petty trivial interests in life. And then pursue it with constancy and put in hard work, tapas. You will lead a happy, successful life in the world, and sooner or later you'll find yourself to that unmasking and come to the real crux of your personality. Now, the 13th chapter deals with various topics. First 7 verses, and we're going to do not more than these, deal with the difference between what is known as kshetra, field, and kshetrajna, knower of the field. In other words, field means the body and the world, your personality and the world, matter. Kshetrajna is knower of the field. And we'll see, by the time we get to 8 o'clock, we'll get some sort of idea of what kshetra is. Because how you gain knowledge is, first you have to start with where you are at. What is your level? What is it that you know now? What do we know now? Matter. So there is an exhaustive analysis of matter, and then he goes on to explain what kshetrajna is, spirit. We begin with verse 1.
Arjuna uvacha prakrutim purusham chaiva kshetram kshetrajnameva cha etadveditumichhami jnanam gneyam cha keshava.
Arjuna uvacha, Arjuna said, O Keshava, I want to know Prakriti, matter, and Purusha, spirit. The Kshetra, field, and Kshetrajna, knower of the field, as well as Jnanam, knowledge, and that which has to be known, Jneyam. This verse, if you read a standard text of the Gita, you will find this verse missing. Up to Shankaracharya's time, in Shankaracharya's commentary on the Bhagavad Gita, this verse is not there. So obviously it's an add-on which came afterwards, and that is what That is why the Gita consists of 701 verses. This is the 701st verse. But orthodox people do not accept this as part of the original Gita because Shankaracharya has not commented on it, has not included it. But because it fits in with the whole chapter. The entire chapter seems to be an explanation or an answer to this particular verse. And so therefore later commentators have included this. Now we are not concerned with whether it was originally there or not. It helps us, so we take it. So what is this question all about? The question is, what is, he says, Prakriti, matter, body, mind and intellect, that which we know, and Purusha, spirit, Atman, that which gives life to the dead inert matter. What is Kshetra? Field. You know, India has always been an agricultural country, and so therefore there's this touch of agriculture even in the Gita, in the 3rd chapter that is. And then here again, Kshetra is the field. And in that field you sow the seed and reap the harvest. Similarly, the field, the body, mind and intellect and the world is the field. But the field per se is useless unless there is this life-giving seed in it. And that seed is spirit, Kshetrajna, knowing principle. When the answer comes, we'll understand it. Then Jnanam, knowledge, and Jneyam, that which ought to be known. That which ought to be known is Brahman, Atman, God. In knowledge, there is a threesome. They call it Triputi in Sanskrit. There is knowledge, the knower, and that which has to be known. This is with reference to the world. Now, as you get towards realization, when you get to realization, these three merge. Knowledge, the knower, and the known become one. They dissolve into one. So, anyway, what he is trying to do here is, as we discussed earlier, he is trying to differentiate between the person and the persona, the person and the mask, and what has caused it, what has started the whole thing.